Hello, hi everybody, and welcome to the video. And I'm going to explain some things. Um, I'll talk about OCs later on and revisit the old ones that I talked about. Mainly for Leah, I know you guys are wondering who that is. Remember the short that had where it's Tay was freaking out. They were freaking out over when it's seen a furry going hello darlings. Basically, that kind of stuff. If I be honest, if I was at Tay, I would have and not Tay, Ty. Sorry, I got those two names mixed. Ty, I would have also freaked out because I would not expect somebody to come out of nowhere. So, I'll explain the lore about Freelia because I did talk about the lore for it before. It was back when I was into FNAF stuff and I want to make versions of something, but with my flip into it, where mechanics are kind of fair, but I never made them the game because, well, one, I had no experience in video game designing, and two, I had no interest in it because either I want to have games that I made that end up being stuff that I made. As much as I would love to, but I don't have the time and I'm not really interested in that stuff. And also, this is a short that I originally hid. I think this short was around the time I was using a specific song for me showing my last Instagram short, which was introducing Puppeteer. If you don't remember them, just look back and remember the one where Foxy, yeah, not my Foxy's not my OC. It's by Scott Coffin. But I kind of made a little bit more friendlier version of it. So yeah, and Foxy was questioning Puppeteer, and the reason why Puppeteer did have to go eventually was because there was nothing to relevant anymore with Puppeteer, and plus Puppeteer was just straight up just a boring character in my opinion. I know some people think it's similar to Puppet, so it's kind of why I deleted eventually because I don't want people to go you stole the character Puppet. What are you doing here, man? Something like that, that kind of stuff. And also, yeah, what you're seeing just now was a screenshot right before I deleted the posts on my Instagram that I no longer am active on. Because I'm not active on Instagram anymore because controversy, there are misleading people, and there are creeps. So, it's kind of why I never came back on Instagram anymore. I only came back to let my friends know in case they get the memo the first time. I only had, well, I'll admit I didn't tell you this, I had an ex or friend. But me and the ex or friend are on good terms where at least we talk to each other like normal friends. That's about it. And the other one was telling my Christian friend who was the only high school friend I had left. I know a lot of people were wondering why is a Christian the only friend you got left from high school. There are Christians friends I had, but left me behind as well. Same with atheists, but the reason she was the one who didn't leave me behind was because I did put something in the moment in her head where it was something I did that helped her get out of her comfort zone. I'll tell the story now. This back reason why I mentioned this in short not too long ago. When I said my best moment was in 7th grade, was because I helped her get out of her shell. You know how people are there are people who are not very shy, then there's very shy people. I was also a shy person as well because, I like talking to people, but I mainly was talking to girls. because I was more comfortable with them. I wasn't really comfortable talking to guys as much, if I'd be honest. I know some of you are thinking that, like, that's gay or something like that. I get it. I get the joke. And, like, something like that. Like, I do support gay people, but around the time I was in 7th grade, I had no idea what LGBTQ was at all. And it still wasn't until, like, I was no longer in school. And that's when I found out about it. Like, I wasn't even informed about it until, like, afterwards. Anyway, so back to the story. 7th grade, I was in a gym because I'm not a skinny person in real life, so here you go, about scripture about myself in real life. I was not skinny either back then. I went to gym, and unlike most days where I had aid, I did not have aid at the time, and as everyone else was doing the only thing, I saw her on the bleacher seats, and I try to help and boost her confidence and try to, like, help her step out her comfort zone. And I don't know what words I said, but it worked. It worked. I'm not the best person, to be honest, but that was the greatest moment I had that I kept from my school years. Like, every other moment was just either plain up bad, or okayish, or it's kind of bad or kind of good, but it's not good enough, like, consider kept the moment. My worst moment was in 10th grade. 10th grade was where, remember how, like, sometimes there's maybe that has, like, a, like, talk that, like, or something like that, and that happened, and there was nothing going on. I had no memory of, like, having a girlfriend at all. Let's just say broke up with her, and probably one of the most, like, your edgy teen ways. And the way I did was, I wrote notes. Back then I didn't have a phone, so I didn't know how to, like, directly mention, like, I broke up. But I wrote on the paper saying, like, we broke up, and I was saying, like, that stuff back then, and I can tell you, I was not proud of it. I guess I was a minor at the time, so I should have just realized how bad it was, because her little brother. No, not the ex I was mentioning, that was to an extent just ex. I'm not gonna mention her name at all. Luckily, I'm still friends with her, but I just see her as a stranger now, so it doesn't really matter anymore. But that was my worst moment, my worst school moment I ever did. Like, even what I said and later on stuff for towards Legend wasn't as bad as that, but still, it was bad. And yeah, I was not a great person back then either. I was also bossy back then, and I'll admit I was one of the worst ADHD people back then, because I wasn't very nice. I wasn't really good at socializing properly. All I know was phone, school, that's it. And I was not a great nerd. Yeah, it was not a great moment. Basically, anyways, let's just move on, because I don't want to, like, put you guys in thinking I'm a terrible person now. It's because of what I did back then. I'm not the greatest human being at all, but I'm not the worst human being. Because I know the worst human being is Wolf, if I'll be honest. There are other people who did more terrible things than her, but how many things were piled up on Sniper Wolf, my opinion, was very blatant. Like, she is not a good person at all. And especially what she did back then. Man, if her son just looked back in the past and realized how wrong it was, they would not send for her anymore. Anyways, enough talking about like dark things. Let's just focus on the OCs. I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of me talking about like my thoughts and my own story. I get it. Like, this is not the video for it, but I'm just only mentioning like a little bit more about myself because I figure like since we got over all the sources you guys saw originally, I felt like it's best for me to like move on to talk about myself a bit. I'm not going to talk about myself a lot because, well, I want to like make sure mine is not very blatant like a big story. I just want to do like chapters like telling you things I've done that I'm proud of and things that I'm not proud of. It's because I am a human being and I do make mistakes. So, anyways. And yes, even some are like really horrendous. Yes, I regretted it. Anyways, let's just move on. Oh yeah, for Elia. The OC, I made, it was actually years ago, back when I had Instagram, like I said. I'm not sure if I said earlier or not. You're more welcome to tell me comments if I did. Nia was actually an OCA made like FNAF, like my own version of like FNAF, where it's just my own nights. But she was like a main night guard eventually, but there was like back then like little hints, and I don't have the info about what each animatronic would do and who are the characters anymore, because here's why: it was all on Instagram, but I posted on. I don't bother that shit anymore. So basically, she was a night guard who actually had, who had like a rough childhood and also has a rough adulthood. If you want, I can get into the lore now because I remember at least her backstory. Let's go over if she has many family members or not. She does. Let me tell you the story of hers. It's fine. Just think of this as a book and not as a certain thing, like me telling you lore about her instead of like chapter 1. This red dressed lady walks down the aisle and handed a man in a pink suit with glorious yellow long hair a flower. I don't want to end up like sounding like a narrator, so when it comes to lore, I only act like a narrator if I want to like make a scene or like, you know, like one of those like good videos. Otherwise, I don't narrate. Leah was born with without both parents. Your Honor, how did she survive? Her mother, her birth mother, was a best friend with like a Asian man who was gay, basically. He was also dating a black person who was also gay. I don't think I remember their names, so it's kind of fuzzy to me. But I'm just telling you like what race a little bit, just so you guys don't get confused. Like, while you're wondering how they got birth, the gay couple did not give birth. They were just handing, their best friend's daughter. And for the first year, I mean, before the first year, before the Asian, and I don't remember names, so I'll just go by what their race was. So give me a little bit of break. The like one unfortunately passed away because of the illness or something like that. I don't know. Here's a mine. I'm not the best. Also, one black one also had a brother. So, and I know some of you are questioning my words a bit because what am I talking about and why am I saying it like that? I'm just trying to recollect like who they are and try to image them the best way. The a black one has like some type of hair that's look like long, pointy, weird hairstyle. Not the braids, just weird things. Asian one had more of a average dude's hair that when they're like thinking like hot models, something like that. That's Asian one's hair. The Asian one basically was raising her by himself for about the rest of her life. And her uncle, I remember her uncle's name. Her uncle's name was Bob. Her uncle's name was Bob, believe it or not. The kids I'm not best at names. And keep in mind, I don't recollect the names well. I might try to remake the character just so you guys at least get the different detail what they look like at least. But problem is, I can't remember the picture. I just cannot. Not for the life of me, I cannot remember the colors. All I know was the race. That was it. The race was about to be like more like a hot person that actually understood life, but became a night guard because she wanted to. Also, she had a lore about her friends. Also, back to what I was saying. Nia was happy with, but even though she was happy, or that her like adoptive dad, and don't think remember his name either, but it's years ago. I don't have the post anymore, so yeah, I don't exactly remember the name. However, Nia was happy with her adopted dad. But the only thing that she noticed was how many times he cried because he lost his babe and his best friends. He lost them three right before her childhood. So yeah, when she noticed in her teen years that he was crying that she was about to be moving away from him, she tried to sympathize with him, and he was very, very sad. You know how like normal parents would be when their child's about like move away. Like they're happy that they're moving away, living their own life, but they're also sad because it was their bundle of joy. Basically, like like every other parent. The twist was just like how normally they're like my levels who adopt black kid. I kind of reversed it a bit, or it's the opposite, but with like two different races, adopting the white one. And I felt like that makes more sense because, well, it was just lore I invented back then. I'm not the best at lore, personally. And later on, she, unfortunately, eventually, she lost her uncle and her dad, her other adopted dad. Her friends helped her get a job as a night guard. Well, day guard. She rented tapes. It was a game where you had to do like 10 nights of at 2 nights and night shift, and about like you only get to do like in daytime you only get to do 5 shifts, and each would have been like after every second night. And slowly but surely, it went from like just a memorable, just another like phone call guy, to her realizing it was her dad from about like her adopted dad about 2 years ago. Unfortunately, passed away. So it went from like it was happy to get the job to feeling sad that she did, because it helped her bring back good memories, but it also helped her but also put her remembering the fact that he's not here anymore. So it was pretty sad, and what she found out was both of them were not her real parents. It was the fact the like I said, was the couple who passed away before the original father. So basically, and her last words. I mean, the father unfortunately was dead about a month before her birth mother gave birth. So yeah, that was rough. And then she passed away eventually as well, the mother. And her last words to the two dudes was, "Please take care of my daughter. Please treat her like if she was your own kid. Please give her good life, okay? And make sure that she enjoys every moment you get to spend time with her." And right now, I'm telling you, as I'm saying this, I am tearing up. It was because it was a moment of mine that I made, and personally, I know what it's like to lose a father figure. So it was the tiny bit of me, but mostly not. The tiny bit of me was only when it came like losing a father figure. And she lived her life. She's so happy these days. Yeah. Basically, also she also was a part of the lore with her friends where live ones in that ones, unfortunately. Yeah. This also was just more of like a night guard who went through trauma similar to Michael. But the only difference was unlike his where it was he lost his little brother and his sister, she lost her friends due to a haunted house. Most of them. Except for like her other friends and herself. The others unfortunately didn't live. And the spirits of those were in animatronics, basically, and also, anyways, let's just move on. I don't want to keep going here because that would make you guys like feel like you wondering if I need therapy or not. So let's just move on. Let's talk about the different OC. The unknown character that was from like a version of myself to just a completely different character who ended up mentioning like in a video at some point that they were basically intersex. The reason I was mentioning that detail was because it's just like you that the private part was multiples. And there was no surgery down there. It's just. And so, like, given that detail. I don't know, you're wondering if I am brainwashed or something like that. No, I'm not. It's just no one's like, get rid of, like, this weird logical avatar of myself. It was a pretty weird one because I was originally about to make it look more unique, but it was just a little bit too weird. So I had to like revamp the character, but into like idea of itself, like I did before, where you saw like the one with what was the OC? What I have no clue what it is. However, I'm gonna let you know the person's pronouns and names and that kind of stuff now. Um, the age of the person is actually 22, I would say, at as in today. No, not my age. This person was born in basically February 14th, Valentine's Day. I get it. Like terrible day, but it also was the person's Valentine. I mean, people's that person's birthday, basically. I never told like the month and day the LT was born on or year before, so yeah. Basically, I feel like mentioning it now. So, um, let's just say, um, the person's name is actually, to make this more weirder, it's first name was the character's name. Her name was Will. I know it's the guy's name, but none of the rest. And the person's voice, basically the name exit. Well, they're actually they are the pronouns are the character is actually they basically just they them. But the only difference is this one is agender. It's agender. I mean, these flags are agender, intersex, and also they are basically gay, basically as well. Like they don't have a specific gender, but they are gay, basically. I know, sounds like I'm adding more flags to one character than just do it separately, making two to three different OCs, but here's one. I also myself personally have more than one LGBTQ flag, so don't give me a rough time. They are also not a fan of a lot of things. I know the look is basically pink, 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 and sometimes purple, but mostly pink. And it's because I felt like making a wait, no, their name's not Will. Sorry. Let me refresh that. This is gonna sound like a terrible name, but just hold it in. I realized what their name actually is. Jackal. Jackal. And my brain went to like a creature from Wizard 101 from Saparia, where the creature's name Jackals. So yeah, you're more welcome to say womp womp womp. That's the funniest name I ever come up with. Let's be real. That's gotta be Oscar for like the most dumbest name I ever made. I know it's not the best name I come up with, but I can assure you I am better at names than this. But it was the only thing I could come up with at the time, so don't give me a hard time. We know a lot of people think it's just Action Jekyll, but the creature that they are representing is more of some type of hyena mix of a pony, basically. It also sounds like weird combos, but I digress. I'll just move on. We're I know I never said this. Like Well, you're wondering like what are the is how many OCs are taken, which ones are single? Honestly, the ones that are taken are most of them are adult. I mean, all of them are adults. Like, why would we make a minor have be tanking? Why wouldn't I do that? And also, wouldn't that be weird? Anyways, so yeah, I don't do that. If I made a minor character, I just rather just keep it single and just treat it like normal kid. Where they just play toys, they do airplanes, play with dolls, even eat candy, have Lunchables, think think, or even wear costumes like Buzz Lightyear or even Chase from Paw Patrol. I know some of you are like thinking you're getting worried out about this, but I'm telling you, on his stream is like just matters like normally. So yeah, it should be no issue at all, honestly. I know the feeling is weird, like the vibe is. I get it, like you're not used to me talking like this, or even mentioning like any info. But if it's like get people to keep going like, why are you making a high school drama scene of a couple? The answer is never. And also, I know some of you are like disappointed that I'm against Yandere. And you're like, what is that? Like I said before, it's a stereotypical stereotype of a woman or a man, in very extremely rare cases. Mostly woman who will kill anybody just to make sure the woman or man saves the person they call senpai. So, and to be honest, I hate the word senpai, and I know some people are questioning me like that one short where when you hear the word senpai, I was almost thrown up. Here's a mine. It was when I found out, when I remember a memory that I was. I shouldn't have given myself back to this conversation because I had to record this because it was going too deep and too dark. So yeah, at summer camp, and it was a dark memory. Anyways, I don't want to go down the subject, so let's move on. Where are some of the other characters I did not talk about? The art I had, that's where there's between one side and the other. The one side was I sometimes pray Jesus, not a lot of times, just sometimes if I am really that desperate of needing help and blessing. That was it. I don't say. I mean, I don't usually beg for Jesus or anything because it's just a lot of times that I know if I say it's just gonna feel weird, so I'm not gonna I only say it whenever it's absolutely necessary. That's about it. And that's about it for that. And so it was like I said about the hair and that kind of stuff. I want to know you wonder what's the other side. It's more of like my race basically. I know a lot of people are thinking I am just another person mocking cultures. Reality, I'm not. I'm actually native, believe it or not. I'm actually a Native American, not just Mexican and Irish. So it's kind of why you saw the other side having a feather and some type of feathery thing with LGBTQ flags on there. And that was only because the other side of my identity I wanted to be, just I never knew how to say it without sounding like I'm a weird person. And also, in case mine, here's why I just mentioned Blessed Around the House, is because I'm Native American, not because I'm a Christian. My family is a Christian. I'm not a complete Christian or enthusiast, but some of my families are. Family members are. Also, Native Americans, Blessed Around the House, just like your evil spirits. That's about it. That kind of stuff. So, also, I know, when I say blessed, I mean actually get something, then get a letter, then lit, and just like bless around it slowly, like you're cleansing the area, like cleanse from Overwatch. Think of that, but instead of those weird bottles that I would just say it looked like just a drink. I'm talking about like those that look like some type of wheat. Use around the house slowly, making sure the evil spirits are not in your house. Doing it from like north, south, east, west, each room basically. And I only think about blessed around the house when there's an evil spirit here. That's about it. I don't do it any other time. Reason why I don't like mentioning about like Christians' lives, because one, I want to respect them, just like enthusiasts, and two, it'll be weird to like mention Christianity all the time. Same with mentioning enthusiasts all the time, because well, one, I don't want to get into the drama or anything, so leave me out there. And also, I just want to be in peace, and I want to like clear things up in case anyone's confused. Like, how can you make a OC that's like sometimes Muslim, and then you have a OC that sounds like enthusiast? That's because I respect both sides. Like, I understand religion, but I also understand the opposite. So, I never like talk them about like or force them into like think of Jesus. Hey, you should read a Bible about Jesus. You should always. Like, I don't force that type of stuff. And also, I don't force people to be against God or anything at all either. Because, well, one, pushing it is not good. Bribing people into something is not good either. And specifically, forcing religion or non-religion onto others is consider a red flag. Like a huge one. Because if the person's not open-minded, that's a problem. So, I know there's some people wondering in a server. I did join Coffee's server, KOFI server recently. And I know some of you are wondering, like what was going on in the conversation at one point, which was about Christians and stuff. Like, I'm just gonna say it blatantly because I don't normally bring anything from the server into here. But there was question me why I didn't join Christians or anything. Why I'm not really like want to like take away all my rights or anything, but at the same time I don't want to be against Christians, so I never like even bother joining or leave them behind me treating them terribly either. I've never done that. The only time I treat a Christian or non-Christian like it's a bad person is if they are actually a bad person. Otherwise, I don't treat them bad. I respect people's religion, and I don't care what religion is. As long as you're not forcing it on me, going to like join your Christian, do stuff, and as long as same with you enthusiast, as long as you don't force me into like being against God either, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't mind at all you talk to me. I'd just rather be treated more like a human being. That's all I wanted. So there was one that was like, you should join Jesus. You should join. And it's, it was like, it was like meme that was like one of those like classic punishment gifting GIF, basically, where there's a punishment and you have to screenshot what you land on. Mine happened to be like, well, not screenshotting. Sorry, I went to Google. It's like where I saw this says you'll need anything that does not lie to you, and I look it up. It says that Google says I need a hero, and it reminded somebody of a song from Shrek 2. It's like I need a hero, something like that, and it wasn't even going that path at the start because, well, it was like, you probably need your hero is probably Jesus. I'm like, not a minor, but remember that, and that's when he was forcing religion on me, and I was like, you're not. And let's just say that when it almost made me want to like quit the server, wasn't because of anybody. It was just because Fiverr was forcing me into something that I'm not open of. Which is, I don't want to be forced into Christians, and I don't want to be forced enthusiasts either. I'd just rather be on both sides where at least everyone can get along. You know, that kind of thing. That's it. And the person was forcing me to like believe in Christianity. And lately with like the Bible stuff and how misleading some of it gets in US, I had to say no. Like, I don't mind the Bible if it was originally written, but it was rewritten so many times where it started to go from like, this is what Jesus said to what Jesus did not say. I know a lot of people talk about it, but I felt like bringing it up a bit. So yeah, and these days Bibles, I am not sure. Like, just because I'm not into Christian stuff doesn't mean I'm against Christians. Like, I have a couple of friends who are Christians, so like, I don't have a problem with Christians either. I don't have a problem with enthusiasts. I don't have a problem with Christians. It just only comes down to how you treat me. If you treat me terrible, I leave you behind. Like, think of like a brotherhood, something like that. Like, if you snitch on me, you get left behind, something like that. And I don't know how the brotherhood talks. I don't know. But if you get what I mean, you understand. If you treat me with a lot of respect, I will have you back, bro. Some of that. You know, that kind of stuff, basically. Even though in real life I have skin that's like all over, pale, which is people consider as white. I am actually Native American, Mexican, and Irish. And you don't have to exactly have what a lot of people describe as just to be having that race. It just depends on DNA tests and that kind of stuff either. I mean, it just depends on those. Um, how high, if I wasn't a Native American, then it's likely I would have been 5'4", who probably would even end up being a fat boy going like, hello, you like my dress? I don't know how it goes, but I know some people are questioning me like that right now as well. Like, why would you say that? I just felt like it. And also, I'm friends with fanboys as well. Friends with guys, girls, tomboys, femboys. I know some are thinking femboy means woman, right? It's actually wrong, basically. I know some of you are like, questioning me like, why aren't you saying femboy means woman? Because it's not. Just saying. I know I'm rambling on randomly, and I know it should be getting over like overseas, but I felt like talking to you guys like random conversations for a bit as well. Also, back to what I was saying. When he kept saying that he kept pouring this religion on me, sorry, my brain sometimes will switch subjects if it's like too unnecessary or too uncomfortable. But I felt like change it at that time. So, anyways, he basically he then we went from like this like disagreement to an argument basically, and then he eventually told me, "You lied to yourself." I was like, "Dog, you excuse me?" I didn't say it towards him, just like all I said is like, "Excuse me," because I've never been like confronted by a Christian who doesn't like respect that I'm a human and I don't have to follow religion just to respect them. And yeah, someone else I also agree like they don't mind Christians as long as, but they don't like the people who force stuff on there. I did also explain to somebody else who think all Christians force stuff onto people that talk about I'm gonna make this up. My grandmother was actually a Christian, and she actually was a sweet person. Like, you don't know how many times she'll be nice to you. Just as long as you don't get on her bad side, that's all. She lets me be who I am, as long as I don't curse around like cuss like a sailor. That's about it. I don't say any cuss words. So, basically, I know you're wondering why am I saying shit earlier. This was unfortunately saying here. I'm not mentioning her name because, well, names will take out a tongue test sometimes, so I don't want to mention that. Basically, I mentioned that she was a nice person. She treated me with respect. She treated everyone else with respect. Basically, what makes this interesting is she's still alive, so that's what she's doing. It's good, you know. And she's, even though she has problems like realizing that some people do change their gender identity, but that's just to her like being old and like she does not remember things well. Let's be real, like with how old she is, it is not easy to remember that the person, any of your niece, nephews, or sons or daughters, grandkids or great grandkids had changed their identity. So yeah, it's not very easy. I used to give her on time, which is not my fault on my end because I should have not been harsh on her. Because I didn't realize eventually she wouldn't be in the house anymore. So yeah, that's all me. Um, However, I mentioned that she was a nice person. That helped personally realize that not all Christians are very forceful. And just, and to be honest, I didn't find out she was Christian until this year, so it was a shock to me, if I be honest. So, yeah, anyways, have a good day, guys.